Traders Corner is proudly brought to you by IG, the specialists in CFD trading.
Welcome back. You're watching Traders Corner, and this is our penultimate show for the year. And as always, I'm joined by Garth McKenzie, who is, of course, the founder and editor of Traders Corner. Garth, welcome.
Hi, Julieta.
Garth, we're going to have 2 weeks of essentially retrospective looking back at the year that was. But I know you've got a couple of bits of information to lay on the table now. How did you do?
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, this is the week where we donate the money that we've been trading all of this year. Obviously, we start the year with 250,000 Rand, and we trade it throughout the year using the proper trading principles that we preach on this show. And then at the end of the year, if we've made some money, which hopefully we have, and certainly this year we've done well again, that whatever profits we've made get donated to charity. So the final figure is now sitting at 381,066 Rand. So we started, remember, with 250,000 Rand at the beginning of this year. So that means we've got a profit sitting there of 131,000 Rand. And that profit will be donated now to the two same charities that we've given the money to last year, that being the Princess Alice Adoption Home and the Gerald Fitzpatrick Old Age Home.
Okay, well, let's have a look at that handover in greater detail. It might have been a slow start, but a few canny trades mean that Traders Corner founder Garth McKenzie has almost managed to overtake last year's 53% return, producing a 52.4% gain from his portfolio. As always, Garth puts up 250,000 Rand of his own cash as initial capital, and anything made in profit is handed over to charity at the end of the year. So with 15 winning trades under his belt, the donation this year comes to a cool 131,066 Rand. Traders Corner has again decided to split the haul between the Gerald Fitzpatrick House for the elderly and the Princess Alice Adoption Home, both based in Johannesburg. Princess Alice was established in 1930 and provides a place of safety for up to 30 babies and toddlers who've either been put up for adoption, abandoned, or occasionally removed from their families.
And it's great to be back here again this year, Joanne, and to be able to make a donation to you guys and to see the wonderful work that you're doing here. I've had a child of my own this year, so to see all of these little ones and know that you're giving them a better life ultimately is very, very special. And thank you for all the hard work that you do, and it really is wonderful for us to be able to donate half of this year's profits to you guys.
Thank you, Garth. I think from our side it's more wonderful to have you back here, and it was very unexpected to see you again, and just thank you very much. We've also had a very challenging year. It also started off on quite a low note, but your visitors certainly helping us end up on a much higher note.
The charity employs about 20 staff to provide round-the-clock care, but also relies on volunteers to help. It's a warm and loving environment, but rising costs, a lack of capacity within state hospitals, and the squeeze on the economy mean it's more of a struggle to make ends meet.
We can see the strain that's being placed on the economy at the moment. That definitely has an effect. But for us, it's more than just the funding. It's also the little ones' lives that are in our hands, and the challenges that every parent would have to cope with their own children, and we just deal with a lot of those challenges as well.
Gerald Fitzpatrick House, meanwhile, is an equally deserving organisation that serves as a haven for the elderly in Bertram's, Johannesburg. It houses and cares for up to 85 women with small incomes and relies on donations as well as funding from the Lotteries Board. In all, since starting the Traders Corner concept just over 4 years ago, the show has managed to hand back almost 390,000 Rand to those who most need it. And long may it continue, Garth. Very well done.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be able to support those two charities again, both very deserving charities, and also nice that we've had such a strong year again to be able to hand over a fairly meaningful amount of money.
Not quite tipping our return of last year, but very close. Garth, if you're going to take stock of the year that was, maybe run us through some of the stats.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got a couple of the stats ready for us to have a look at here up on the screen. So in total this year we did 26 trades. We've had 48 shows this year that we've broadcast. So obviously some weeks we've done something educational, or we've just reviewed the market, or we haven't done any trade at all. But anyway, we've completed 26 trades. Of those, 15 were winning trades and 11 were losing trades. And our average winning size, the the size of an average winning trade was just over 4% of our trading capital, and the loser on average was minus 1.33%.
So pretty much the right ratio,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
the right way around, rather.
Yes, exactly. More winners than losers, and the winners certainly a lot bigger than what the losers were.
And of course, it compounds as the year progresses, as the capital base increases.
That's correct. Yeah, we start with 250,000 rand, but as that amount grows, so the amount that we can actually risk also grows proportionately, and therefore we can also proportionately make a larger percentage gain on our winning trades. So it does actually, it does compound throughout the year.
Yeah. So in histogram form, that's what it looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this is a histogram now. And if I explain how this thing works, these blue bars that you see over here are the results on all of our trades. Some were profitable, some were not profitable, as you can see. But the blue bar indicates the closed trade. As a percentage, what did we make or what did we lose? So as you can see, that's the profitable side on the left over there, and then down in the bottom here below the line is a loss-making situation. These little red bars to the downside, those are the risk that we assumed on each of these individual trades. That means basically from where we go into a trade to where our stop loss would get hit, how much money could we potentially lose, and that risk is shown there as a percentage. And you'll see that we never ever risk more than 2% of our capital on any trades, and that's a rule that we have on Traders Corner. Now the idea obviously is to try and get as many winners as possible and to try and make sure that the winning trades are as big as possible. So you really want a histogram which looks like the New York City skyline, where you've got lots and lots of tall bars to the upside and very short stubby little blocks to the downside. And for the most part we've managed to achieve that this year. You can see that very seldom were the losses ever much bigger than what our risk was assumed to be. Where it is slightly bigger, that's often just because of slippage in terms of transactions and commissions that we've had to pay away. But for the most part, you can see excellent risk management here. We've seldom ever lost more than what we were setting out or what we were willing to lose on a trade. And then we've got some very nice big tall bars where you can see we've made 5 or 6% of total trading capital on some of those winning trades. Now, on average, if I was to average all those winning bars out, our average profit is 4.03%, and our average loss is minus 1.33%.
Okay.
So you can see that the profit is about 3 times bigger than the loss on average.
Garth, and I mentioned in the package that it was a slow start to the year, and it felt very frustrating at one point, and I think at one point you were grinding your teeth and ruining the day that you had to come on TV and tell the world why this yet another trade hadn't worked out for you. But then it started to turn right, and I guess the point was that you never actually did anything rash and lost a whole bunch of money in the beginning that would have made it far more of an emotional trial to then start trying to pick up and dust yourself off.
Well, that's right. We stuck to our knitting. We stuck to the strategies and the proper principles of trading that we always try and preach on this show. What you refer to there with a string of losses, we call that a cluster. And you can see near the beginning of the year we had a cluster of a whole lot of losses back to back. And it's hard to have that in the beginning of the year because that sort of puts you on the back foot. It's always nice to start the year on a strong note, and then at least you've got profits in the bank to work with. And in fact, for us, this show only turned profitable in about April.
Yeah.
But as much as you have bad clusters like we had over there, you can have good clusters. And look what happened soon thereafter. We had a whole string of good trades, one after the other, where we had successive wins and quite nice substantial wins as well. And that's the thing as a trader that you've got to remember. The clusters come and go. The good clusters come and go, the bad clusters come and go. The point is, in terms of risk management, it's very important to remember that the bad clusters are the ones that can wipe you out if you don't employ a proper risk management strategy. And fortunately, we do that on the show here. So where we were wrong and we lost money on those trades, we didn't lose an awful lot, and it was fine. We came back fighting strong at the end of it.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose your head and get then you sort of end down an emotional spiral. So because that does play a role.
Exactly.
Garth, so how did we do if you look at the all-share index and the Traders Corner portfolio?
Okay, well, if we have a look at this chart here, now this on the left-hand axis here is the rands. So we started at 250,000 rand at the beginning of the year. The yellow line is our Traders Corner portfolio. You can see that it ended the year up 52%. If you had have invested 250,000 Rand in the all-share index of the JSE, that's the blue line over there, you would have been up only 13% for the year to date. Obviously, you could have added a couple of dividends onto that as well, maybe give you an extra 2% or so. But the point is pretty clear that we've way outperformed the all-share index this year. But again, just to come back to what you were saying a moment ago, look at the beginning of the year. And in fact, we really struggled, along with the rest of the market. We actually struggled to get off the mark this year. And there was a period where we were down in negative territory, right up until about April, or the middle of April.
Yeah.
And only then did things really start to come right. And you can see that we've put on this nice, strong performance. So I suppose if you think about it from that point of view, this 52% has really been made since April, which is what, only 6 months ago. So it's been a very strong performance for 6 months to have come out with that. But it's great to see the difference. We are 250,000 Rand ended the year on 381,000 Rand. And if you had have invested that same money in the all-share index, you would have 280,000 Rand. So a full 101,000 Rand difference in profit on
It
the
doesn't say very much for tracker funds, does it? If you invested in a Satrix, although of course the risk that you take is, there is almost no risk in terms of picking your own trades, etc., etc. So, risk-reward ratios come into play there.
Sure. Look, that's true. I think one point I must just make about that, though, is that, remember, we're trading with a relatively small amount of money here. 250,000 Rand is very small in the scheme of things. If you're a big fund or unit trust fund or whatever trying to achieve this type of performance, you're not going to be able to trade in the same way that we do on this show, because we're able to be very nimble, quick in and out, because the liquidity is such that we can do that. If you're swinging billions of rands around, you can't trade the same way that we trade here. The type of trading that we're doing on this show really is aimed at more the DIY type of trader, the person that looks after their own relatively small pool of money.
Yeah. Guys, so if we go back to some of the goals that you set yourself at the beginning of the year, how do you think that you did against them?
Well, let's have a look. This is the basic layout for the show, and this is a slide that I put up on the 8th of January this year. So we start with 250,000 Rand. We trade CFDs, index futures, options, and currency futures. We've done all that throughout the year. We've run the portfolio from January to November, and we've never risked more than 2% of our trading capital on any single trade. All profits are donated to charity, which we've discussed. And the purpose of this show, in addition to making profits, it really is all about promoting proper trading principles. And I like to think we've accomplished that very successfully this year. In terms of the actual individual goals that I'd set for myself at the beginning of 2013, I wanted 65% of my trades to be winning trades. In the end, we got 57% of them as winners. So not bad. I didn't quite get as good as I wanted, but still 57% winners is not a bad ratio. I wanted my winners to be 3 times bigger than my losers. And if you look at the size of the average win being just over 4% and the size of the average loss being 1.3%, we did accomplish that goal. So that I can certainly give myself a tick for that, I think. I wanted to be patient and look only for high probability trades and not overtrade just for the sake of trading. I think we did 26 trades in 48 weeks. That's probably not much. That to me illustrates a certain degree of patience, I think. And then I wanted to get better at selling, and that was a new goal of mine for 2013, and it'll be a goal of mine again in 2014. I've always found knowing when to sell is the hardest part of trading, and I don't think I did it as well as I could have this year, and I think it's reasonable performance, but we'll certainly come and try and do better again in 2014 on that note.
Yeah, well, we'll flesh that out next week when we have a greater look, we'll look in greater detail at some of the trades enacted. So Garth, but as I said, since we started, it's what, 389,000 Rand in profit to charity.
Yeah, that's right. We started this show in August 2009, so just over 4 years ago, and every year we start with 250,000 Rand of fresh capital. In that time, we've generated 389,000 Rand in profits, and all of that profit has been donated to charity. So it's a good cause, and it's a win-win all round. Very happy with this year's performance, and really looking forward to coming back and trying to do it again next year.
Yeah, we've had a good innings, and we'll catch up with you next week for some more retrospective detail. Garth, thanks as always for joining us. That is Garth McKenzie, founder and editor of Traders Corner.
Traders Corner was proudly brought to you by IG. Visit igmarkets.co.za to open a trading account today.